All right. Here's a few things to check on your new autococker. What I was talking about with the back block. So this back block looks a little different than yours, but it's the same principle. There should be a gap between the body and this back block. I don't know. You can maybe kind of see through there that there is a gap because you don't want the back block slamming against the body. First of all, it's going to mark up the body. You can kind of see the previous owner. There's some marks here that are from that actually hitting. And then the bigger concern is the threads in here. This is aluminum, and these are most often stainless steel, which is much harder than aluminum. So what I'll end up doing is pulling those threads right out of the back block because it's so much softer, and it's like hitting it with a slide hammer repeatedly. And to do that, you'll probably have to take it loose here and here. You'll probably need a little torch or something like this because they should be Loctited into place. That's the right way to do that, is to use Loctite on both ends of these. You'll have to take it off, clean out the threads, and then put Loctite back on. I like to kind of do a dry fit to see where my gap's going to be before I put the Loctite on. And then I don't know if you have calipers or something to kind of gauge this distance, so when you're putting it back on with Loctite, you have an idea how close you're getting. Because ideally you want to Loctite it so this rod, if you look, it's a little bent because the back block doesn't line up with the ram, so there's slight bend in it, and you want that not to rub on the body at all. Another thing I noticed is your LPR seemed a bit high because when it was going back and forth, it seemed pretty jumpy. If you look at mine, there's minimal to that. And, so yours might be a little high. If you, when it's aired up, if you can't just pull this back, most likely your LPR is too high. And if you turn it down and you can't, and it won't cycle correctly, that's most likely you need to respring the inside. But you don't have to, but to get a better performance, so it's not as kicky, not as much recoil on it. That's how you'd fix that. It's usually the hammer spring is too heavy, and it's hard for it takes a lot of air pressure to get it to pull back. Another thing you can check, if you're so inclined, is just a general checkup on the tuning of it, the timing. Basically what you want to do is slowly pull the trigger. This one might be hard to do it. No. What you want to do is slowly pull the trigger. It's hard to do with only one hand. So that the hammer drops before your three-way starts switching anything. You want to make sure that happens first. And then you can kind of, at which point, if you watch like where in the trigger pull, you can start hearing the three-way switch. You want to make sure that's after the hammer drops, and roughly about 1/3 of the way through. It's kind of dependent on every setup, but you also want to make sure at the end of the pull it is no leaking and it's all putting the air into to push the ram backwards. So that's just a quick check. If you have any problems with that, let me know and I can do a more detailed video on actually timing an autococker. Oh, one more thing while I'm thinking about it. When you pull the trigger back, look into the breech and make sure that the bolt is going far enough back that it's not obstructing the breech so a paintball can get in there. If that's the case where it's not going back far enough, the timing rods are adjustable where you can adjust them backwards or forwards usually. Let me see, can I get there? I moved the bumper so that you can see that there's threads right here. Maybe if it focuses, it's not going to want to focus, but so you can move that in or out, and that will affect on the ram. When the ram pulls it all the way back, that will let it, that's how much this can come forward and back, so you can adjust it that way. If you have any other questions, let me know.